mistakes. There were a lot of concerns over Justin Herbert's 135 odd passing yards. So even though Detroit's coming off a bye, and even the Chargers came out, with a big win on the scoreboard, the line actually moved from slight favorite Chargers to Detroit side. I also think that the narrative of everyone knows how little or non-existent the home field advantage is for the Chargers. And Detroit's fan base has been traveling extremely well this year. A friend of mine from the Ravens game said there was all Lions fans around him. I don't think he had the best tickets, so we'll take that as it is. But I think that this is going to be a Detroit crowd. Now the model still leans Chargers because the fact is, away from that friendly dome and fast track, the Lions average 10 fewer points on the road than they do at home. Last year was more of a gap of 14 points. So that's what's influencing the model here. But again, it's not a strong A-rated play or anything like that. As far as the Jets, I was a little surprised again that the steam didn't go more towards Vegas because of the good vibes they showed. I guess there's feeling that Zach Wilson, they'll turn this game into just a punting situation and a field position game with both quarterbacks not trusted. Everyone's very impressed, rightfully so, with the Jets' pass defense. They basically allowed 0 to the Giants the week before and then held Herbert to almost, equivalent of 0 for him at 130 something. So the feeling is neither team will get much through the air. Now, I do think that Vegas has been running better with Josh Jacobs. And more importantly, they just had 8 sacks as an inspired defense with Max Crosby. And the Jets just allowed 8. So that's why the model is leaning towards Vegas, even though the odds are up to the Jets -2.5 in a lot of spaces.
Mm-hmm. So I know the model likes Vegas. Do you guys agree here? Like, what are your personal opinions on this with the line movement?
I like Vegas. I think their motivation's everything. When you have as talented players,
it's a fluke. Like, what if this it's a fluke?
You have basically a top 3 wide receiver. You have the leading rusher from last year. You have one of the 3 best edge rushers. You have, it's just, motivation is a gigantic thing,
Well, who scores more, Vegas's defense or the Jets' offense in this game? That's the big question.
That's an interesting. Yeah, that's a tough.
Let's go to a question.
The last 4 weeks on offense, it's crazy.
Right. All right, let's go to a question in the chat. Dallas hosting the Giants here. Spread is 16. Do we have any value on that?
No, we had the number at exactly 16 as well, and we had the number at the Vegas line look ahead was 9.5. So the DeVito, the drop off from Daniel Jones to DeVito was nearly a touchdown in the line. In the sim, it was a little less than that. I know it's garbage time, and I know Tommy DeVito started with 2 picks last week, and then the week before that, he couldn't do anything. But he finished the game 15 for 20 with 175 yards and a passing touchdown. And he could run, and Jay could fill you in on his college numbers. So I think that he may not be as bad as people think. And by that, I mean a backdoor cover could happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good stuff there. Keep asking your NFL questions in the chat. Derek's there to answer them. So is Steven. Let's move over to some college football here. Some injuries to look out for that have affected line movement. We'll start with Duke going to UNC. Riley Leonard not out. They have a true freshman starting. Jake, do you think this line movement is the appropriate reaction here?
Yeah, so it's weird because UNC, they've lost the last 2 games to Virginia and Georgia Tech, who are supposed to be the bottom 2 teams in all the ACC. But this is a rivalry game, so you really throw out everything before. And Duke, true freshman quarterback Grayson Loftus, he looked okay against Wake Forest. They came back and won, but I think it's going to be tough on the road in a rivalry game. So this line movement makes sense. So I could see it getting closer to 13 and 13.5. So I'd get it now at the lowest price you can.
Okay. Yeah, you could shop around. I saw 11.5 and 13s on the board.
Mm-hmm. A different type of situation, not necessarily an injury we have here, but we have, We have Boise, their top wide receiver is transferring.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to transfer. Eric McAllister is transferring from Boise. He has 870 yards this season, and I think their next wide receiver has like 100 yards. So that usually a wide receiver wouldn't really even move the line at all, especially in the game against New Mexico. But with Boise's offense, they rely on him so much, and Boise's offense has been pretty rough. They did put up 30 against Fresno, but their whole quarterback situation is a little interesting. So this actually moved to a point.
And you can get 24.5. So if you like New Mexico, which is kind of a rough thing to like in college football, you should get 25 while you can.
Is this going to be a player prop situation we see later in the week, Jake? Like a Boise State wide receiver 3 over from you?
Yeah, maybe Prince John, whose brother played for the Colts. He is he gray shirted last year, so he's a true freshman this year technically, but he could be the heir apparent to McAllister.
Did you tee him up for that? Did you guys discuss this, or did you actually pull that name out of your big head?
So I was infatuated with that blue field when I was growing up. So I've been a Boise State fan. I love the orange and blue. So
like whoever says that, I'm a big Boise State fan.
I've been to 5 Boise State games in my life. So yeah.
All right. I give up. I'm trying to understand. All right.
Let's this is after they arise. You went 5 times.
Right.
You didn't see the team that beat Oklahoma.
I was a fan before that. I actually saw them play before that. Yeah, that was 2007.
Right.
I was a fan before that. I was a fan when the first time I saw them play. I was like 4 years old. They were playing Bowling Green. I saw the blue field, and I was a 4-year-old. I was like, "This field's awesome. I must be a fan."
All right. Well, the only thing that gets me pumped up more than Boise State football is Tulsa at Tulane. Tulsa's quarterback is also questionable, probably not going to play. This line moved a little bit. Do you think it's an appropriate reaction here?
Yeah, I think so. Cardell Williams, who was Tulsa's backup to start the season behind Braylon Braxton. Braxton started last game. He came out after a drive. Cardell Williams played. They were up 17-0, and then he got hurt. And then they put in another freshman who looked pretty rough, and they blew a 17-0 lead. I wish John was here for his input with on Tulane. It's the one college football team he knows everything about. This Tulane football. He knows all their cornerbacks, which is something I even don't know. But I would get on Tulane at the lowest price you can right now. Tulsa's going on the road. Tulane struggled a little bit, but I think that they're back at home after playing the last 2 games on the road. I think it's a good bounce back week, and I think they should win this game by.
So the moral is you guys aren't that smart. You just go by pretty colors. Like John's all about green. You're about blue. You know, you're very childlike decision making. It's okay. That's fine. It's good to know.
Yeah. John is an alum, so give that to him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's all fair in game. All right, one more game here. Louisiana quarterback is out, fractured their finger, I believe, Jake.
Their fibula. So I think he wishes it was his finger. So yeah, and he's out. Zion Chris, who started the season as a backup. He looked really good, and we were on Louisiana team total against Arkansas State, and it was over as soon as he went down last week because their backup Chandler Fields did nothing. And you could see that people were realizing that Chandler Fields did not look good. That's why the lines moved from -12 to -10, which I agree with, especially after watching that game against Arkansas State, who's a really bad defense. We love fading Arkansas State, and their quarterback couldn't do anything. And Southern Miss finally got in the win column. They beat Louisiana Monroe. So this line movement makes a lot of sense. If you like Southern Miss, I get it before it goes down any further.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to find what time's that game. Okay, Louisiana. Yeah, it's at 9. It's 9, 10. 10.5 is still available. So I would grab that 10.5.
I like Scott's comment here. Yeah, wild of Steven to call people out for having biases, considering the way he acts about the Ravens and refers to them as
bias aside when it comes to the Ravens.
All right. While we have the model,
I'm all facts.
Yeah. All right.
Well, my bias, I'm saying it's fine to be biased, but I didn't go. It's like, oh, the Ravens have such pretty colors. I like the fact that we had the best defense in history. And Ray Lewis had an awesome band.
I'm cutting off the Ravens rant right now. Let's answer a question here while we have your screen up, Steven, in the model. 2 questions here. Team totals: Louisville over 34.5 and Toledo over 31.5. Shout out, Derek.
All right.
Louisville over again. Yeah. So
which one is Louisville?
The Louisville game they play Thursday. It's actually interesting because the line's gone down from the over-under has gone down from 51.5 to 50.5, with Tony Muskett out and Anthony Calandria playing. But if you listen to the Cover 3 podcast, they always say Calandria. So Tom Fornelli has a stat that he measures. It's called whoopsie daisies. And Anthony Calandria leads the country in the whoopsie daisies per games he plays. So I think that really benefits Louisville here. And it looks like Jordan, who got banged up last week, Joe Jordan, he's going to be playing. He's probable. So I don't
do like over. Yeah, we do like the over. We have a 39 projection for Louisville. And then Toledo.
Yeah, I like it at 34.5 because you get that key number of 35. So I like that. Toledo scares me because we've been
Toledo. We haven't projected for over that number too. We have them at 36. So we have both teams over. Is weather an issue this time of year in Toledo? It usually is.
I bet Derek will get on that.
Yeah, Derek, our weather guy, meteorologist.
But nonetheless,
he has it in his bones.
Nick S. always agreeing with us. We're always on the same page there. We might have to just bring him on part of the crew. All right, let's.
Well, then he's over his last 6 in NFL props as well.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't be agreeing. All right, let's move to an action play quick before we get to an NFL playoff scenario. We're going back to the roots as in last week, but rushing props in this cold weather seem to be going our way, Jake.
Yeah, we were on this at 28.5 last week, and they easily hit. I think he had 40 yards after his first 2 runs last week, Jace Bauer. And we have him for 50 yards running this game. I just like betting on a MACTION running quarterback. I also bet Kyle Kelly, but we don't have value on him, but we have value on Bauer. So I'm on his rushing prop. And Steven, you said it was at 41.5 if you want to
if you that. Not anymore.
Not anymore. So people, yeah. So I like Bauer today.
All right. And if anyone has other MACTION questions, Jake, I'm sure, has enough information stored in his head to help you answer those. So with that, Jake, I'm going to let you head into the chat there to focus on that. Steven and I are going to go over a pretty trending topic this week so far. A, can the Bills make the playoffs in general? And B, can all of these AFC North teams make the playoffs? Obviously, the Ravens are, but the other 3 kind of battling each other out. So we put together for some numbers for you, as we should. I'm going to introduce to you the fate of the AFC North relies on one team, and that is the Bills Mafia with Josh Allen. That's what it's all going to come down to. So the first thing that has to happen here, Steven, I'll let you get into it, but they need to go under 10 wins because that's kind of the threshold for these playoff games. So we need them to kind of knock themselves out by not hitting that 10-win threshold.
Yeah, I think I have a 48% chance that they win under 10 games, and that's pretty much exactly what the odds makers would have as far as missing the playoffs. Is like plus 105 on Caesars this morning, so it's around a 48% implied probability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Philly, Kansas City, and and Miami are 3 teams that they really do need that key loss to. Now, when it comes to Dallas, there are a few other teams they will be playing. It could be Dallas, it could be Denver, but we're assuming that these are going to be the 4 teams they have the best chance of losing to. So hopefully we root for 4 losses here. However, one of those 4 losses cannot be to the Jets or the Chargers. We need the Bills to beat the Jets and or Chargers because these are other teams competing for this wild card spot that if the Bills beat them, they can knock them out of contention there and open the doors for the whole AFC North.
Yeah. I think now at this point, it's last week, before last night, we had the Jets and Chargers both right around 30% chance to make the playoffs. After last night, it went to Chargers 38% and Jets down to 14%. So Jets are fading. But yeah, so now it's becoming increasingly important that Buffalo beats the Chargers if you want to have all AFC North teams, which I don't want.
Right. Yeah.
But we have Buffalo at 51% at the Chargers as to win. So it's a coin flip.
Okay. Yeah. So in general, you're looking for the Bills to go under 10 wins. You're also looking for them to beat the Jets or the Chargers. Hopefully, if you are rooting for this AFC North situation, ideally it would be the Chargers there. That would allow all of these teams to make the playoffs and knock out the Bills. And our chance of all of this happening the way we want it to, the key losses and the key wins specifically, we give that a 6.7% chance. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's a lot. That 6.7 is a lot lower than if you were to take the individual playoff percentages that we have for these 4 teams, because they're not independent events. Statistically, if they were, because obviously the Cincinnati Bengals and the Browns often make the division because they beat the Steelers, in all the remaining games, and the Steelers don't make it. So what the simulations take into account is that classic AFC North, we all seem to have each other's numbers for whatever reason. Pittsburgh has the Ravens, Cleveland's got Cincinnati's, Cincinnati and Baltimore usually split. So it's kind of like this still, if anything, Baltimore recently has had Cincinnati's number as far as holding their offense, containing their offense below 20 points of offense. So that's what this is requiring, that there's that reservoir dogs. Everyone's got their gun pointed at the other one and takes everyone out evenly.
Right.
Then Buffalo does its eliminate the other wild card contenders while also losing to the good teams.
Yes, fate is in the hands of Josh Allen and Buffalo. See, Scott asking about some NHL plays. When John comes back next week, we will certainly have those for you. Now, tomorrow we have more NBA. We have a lot more college basketball. So back to a little bit of normal here, but these are key line movements. You got some act nows that are worth acting on if you like those teams in college football. So with that said, that's all we have for today. Feel free to ask us your questions on Twitter, and we'll see you tomorrow with some more plays.